Hey, what's up, explorers? It's Adam Carroll.
Nick Durr here at Mastery of Money, and our commitment is to help you focus on money now,
so you don't have to worry about the money later.
And in today's episode, we are talking about a question that we get often, which is, what can I do with an extra $50 a month?
How did you find $50 extra a month? That's crazy.
In my pockets.
That's crazy. I found it in the laundry. My kids are crazy about putting money in their pockets.
All right, so we have 4 tips in how you can use an extra $50 a month. Tip number 1 might be pretty simple, but you can use that extra $50 a month to save. So if you have a target savings amount, or you're looking to build an emergency fund, which is about 3 to 6 months of living expenses, you can use that $50 a month to put into savings.
Yes, and here's the reason that's important to do. The average American today, 63%, I believe, according to a CNN Money study, said that the average American family could not come up with $500 cash in the event of an emergency. So if you have an extra $50 a month and you don't have that emergency fund set aside, the goal should be to build it up, whether it's 3 to 6 months, it could be 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, whatever number is comfortable for you to have in savings. Before you do anything with that extra 50, make sure you've got the savings account locked and loaded. Tip number 2 is to take that $50 a month and pay down debt. Here's the reason why. The debt that you have right now, assuming you've got some level of interest that's being charged against it, so it's debt that is maybe sitting on a credit card, a charge card, it's consumer debt of some kind, it is accruing interest on a monthly basis. And that is money that is going right out the door from your paycheck that could be dwindled down with that extra $50 a month. So we want to give you some numbers to illustrate how much savings you could actually find in that extra $50 a month.
All right, so let's assume that you have $5,000 in credit card debt with an interest rate at 14%. Now, let's just assume you're paying the minimums, and the question is, what can I do with an extra $50 a month? We're going to show you how much that significantly impacts your credit card debt.
It's a lot.
So we're taking a friend that I know who has $5,000 in credit card debt, and he's paying the minimums and the first month is $100. Now, obviously, if he continues to pay the minimum, the number is going to decrease. But what happens is that if he paid the minimums every single month, it would take him, guess how long? 25 years to pay down the credit card debt. And accumulated interest would be a total of $6,300, which is more than the original principal. Now,
insane.
Now, if we took that extra $50 and applied it, and instead of paying the minimum of just $100, but we actually put $100 always on a monthly basis, so instead of just paying the minimums, which would increase over time, it would actually reduce the amount of time paying debt to 6 years and 4 months.
Versus 25 years.
Versus 25 years. So you're saving, what is that?
19 years.
19 years. That's a long time. And the amount of interest you'd be paying is $2,500. So about half the principal versus the $6,000, which was more than the original principal.
Love it.
Now, if we increased the minimum payment to $200 a month and we paid that on a monthly basis, the amount of time it would take to pay down that $5,000 debt would be 2 years and 6 months and have an accumulated interest of $946. So whether it's $50, $100, $200, being able to use this extra money, although by itself might seem like a small amount, it actually makes a huge difference, not only just from a time perspective, but also from a monetary perspective as you're saving on the interest.
Absolutely. A simple rule of thumb, if you're trying to calculate how much can I save if I'm paying down debt, if you have a $1,000 credit card debt and you're being charged 20% interest, what that means is $200 a year goes out of your house to a credit card company and you don't get any benefit from that. So that extra $50 a month will start dwindling that amount down, and at the end of a year, if you were to pay off $1,000, that's an extra $200 a year you're putting in your pocket. So keep in mind, the interest you're paying on debt can be significant when it comes to your bottom line at the end of the year.
Tip number 3 is to invest in yourself. Now, what we mean by that is books, conferences, courses, health and well-being, whether it's a rock climbing membership or a Pilates class, whatever the case is, you can invest in yourself that would really enhance your quality of life.
Absolutely. They say that formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. And what we're talking about here is taking that $50 extra a month and putting it down on yourself. There is no greater return that either of us have ever gotten than what we've invested in our own education and growth. So keep in mind that 50 bucks extra may not seem like a lot, but if applied towards you and your own growth and development, it could mean a significant fortune down the road.
And if you're interested, we actually have a course called the Financial Flow course that is actually less than the $50.
Super discounted.
Check out the link in the description so you can find out how you can not only invest in yourself, but also grow your wealth.
And tip number 4, this is a big one. We're talking about future you. And future you is going to be really happy that you invested that extra $50 a month in growth. And I want to go back a few years. I looked back and checked what Apple stock was in 1995. And in 1995, I was 20 years old. At 20, I probably had an extra $50 a month that I could have done something with. And in 1995, Apple stock was $1.25 per share, $1.26, somewhere in there. So if I had put 50 bucks a month in Apple every single month when I was 20 years old, and I did it for just 1 year. So from 20 to 21, I invested 50 bucks a month in Apple. I would have bought 40 shares per month. Well, in 1 month's purchasing of Apple shares, today's value of that stock would be almost $9,000. Crazy. $9,000. If I did it for an entire year, the total amount I would have come out with was around $106,000 or $107,000 in today's value. So imagine how happy today's me would be with 20-year-old me if 20-year-old me would have invested in growth type stocks. So I want you to consider this. Nick, I'm going to ask you this.
Yeah.
What growth stocks today come to mind that you could put money in on a monthly basis that down the road you know are probably going to still be around?
Oh, that I know will still be around?
Yeah.
The ones that come to mind are, telecommunications, so like AT&T,
right?
Coca-Cola,
Yep.
Disney,
Verizon. Yep. What else? You just bought a whole bunch of stuff on this.
Canon, Procter & Gamble.
No. What are you spending money on, man? So you bought Amazon. That's where I was going with that.
Yes. Yeah, Amazon.
So think about the companies that you love, that you buy today, that you know are going to be around forever, and start putting money in those stocks. There are 2 kinds of investors out there, according to Robert Kiyosaki. There are growth investors. So we are investing for net worth, meaning these companies will continually grow over time. And then there are cash flow investors. And Nick mentioned one of those stocks. If you invested in Coca-Cola, well, it might not be a high growth stock, but it's a cash flow stock. So it's going to pay dividends on a monthly basis over and over again. So with that extra 50, consider investing in either high growth or cash flow paying dividend stocks.
And if you're just joining in on this episode and you might be asking yourself, how do I start investing? Check out the video here. Now, if you want to take your finances to the next level and elevate your money mindset, check out these videos here.
And make sure you click subscribe on the channel so that you are reminded every time a new video comes out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We will see you next time. And remember, bag that, bag it.